Hey everyone, my name is Bryant Chase, and I am the Director of Social Media for CareerArc. I'm here to talk to you about social sessions where we're going to go through the key points in holiday hiring. So to start off, warehouse workers are increasingly put off by working conditions, low wages, and lack of career progression in this sector, according to experts telling the Post. Retailers have been scaling back sign-on bonuses and are no longer relaxing job requirements, according to new data from Lightcast. And 97% of the 500 respondents for the American Hotels and Lodging Association study indicated that they're already experiencing a staffing shortage, with almost half of those saying it was severe, with housekeeping being their biggest challenge. So I am very excited to talk to you about all these different things that we're working through. We're here to share this content because in November of 2021, 4.5 million workers quit their jobs. These are industries many of them quit from. So we want to share with you the industry data, how to create positive change, and where to find candidates for your space. Recruiters have a problem with holiday hiring, and by the end of this webinar, you should have some actionable inspiration to kickstart a successful holiday hiring season. And if you are not recruiting for these industries, I strongly urge you to stay on because there's tons of carryover content. But before we get too far gone, I'd like to introduce myself again for those who may have joined late. I'm Bryant Chase. I'm the Director of Social Media for CareerArc. I have nearly 10 years of professional social media experience. I've worked with brands like L'Oreal, American Express, Ulta Beauty, who is now a client of ours at CareerArc as well, plus news organizations like Mediaite and the Law and Crime Network. Lastly, I am a little nervous. It's the first time I've done a live in a very long time, so please bear with me. I've got some water and coffee here by my side to help if I get a little tongue-tied. So we're gonna dive right in. So one thing that is a huge deal with industries these days, particularly in the warehouse industry, is that there's a lot of issues that keep them on the naughty list. So there's a ton of uncertainty in the marketplace due to supply chain issues, COVID variants, monkeypox, which if you aren't aware is likely to be a much bigger problem than just in major cities, plus environmental issues. So one thing that's a little tough about this industry is that it's known for its injuries. Amazon, who's seen as kind of one of the peak people in this space, one of the peak businesses, their injury rate jumped 20% last year. And a new report shows that they're hoping to bring unions to the bargaining table because unions are really upset about not having high enough pay and not having enough time for things as simple as water and bathroom breaks. So the good news is that there's a few ways that you can exchange that coal for candy. And it's the fact that this industry is not slowing down. Its growth is steady, the demand is high, and progress for safety conditions is increasingly consistent, but it's just not fast enough. So how are recruiters supposed to be able to find peace in their planning for this? Well, look for ways to provide leverage the peacekeeping measures that you can implement. So automation is often considered kind of like a dirty word in this space. It doesn't have to be. So things that you can automate that don't take away jobs are things like awkward lifting. That's a really big thing. Super heavy lifting and comfortable spaces. So speaking of comfortable spaces, one of the things that I encourage you to do is kind of chill out. A major issue in the warehouse industry is that not all warehouses supply air conditioning to their units. So if you can supply air conditioning, it's a great thing to add onto your social media posts about the jobs or your posts about the jobs. It's a great benefit. And if you can't, which I understand is the case for many companies, you might be able to supply alternatives like cooling vests, cooling neck towels, and access to cold water and more. It's really important that through your promotion of your jobs and your company, you emphasize the fact that you value the well-being of your team. And one way to do that too, if you don't have the means for some of these things, is consider that safety means increased savings as well. So workers' comp claims are huge in this industry, and they can lead to some really diminished returns. So if you guys are saving money because you've implemented safety conditions in the workspace and then your workers' comp claims have gone down, speak to your supervisors because you might be able to have those savings reallocated to your recruiting budget. So the next industry that I want to talk to you all about is the retail industry. So retail is massive, as you all know. I recently spoke to a retail recruiter. They said that for many, the crazy benefits for the last couple of years that you guys have been able to offer are going away. So even though you're able to give those benefits at a time, what I'm hearing from a lot of people in the industry is that most candidates weren't really even, using those benefits as leverage. It wasn't really helping a lot of recruiters. This year is likely to be different. So if benefits that you were able to provide during the pandemic didn't work the past couple of years, try and get them again. So retail workers' responsibilities go far beyond the norm in the past couple of years, especially, and safety is a major concern. Some of the things that we're seeing that are cause for concern are retail workers having to police mask mandates. I know for a fact, I've seen the news about it. It was all over the place. And that's just not something that a lot of people who are going into retail are expecting to have to deal with. The other thing is security issues. With the pandemic, with less people available for hire, there were a lot of issues around organized crime. So if you can make sure to emphasize that you have taken measures to put in place safety precautions, standardized approaches to difficult issues, and are caring for your team, it'll really help with the fact that it's a tough place to be right now. The other issue is that there's a lot of slowed foot traffic in retail. So a lot of retail groups are seeing online holiday purchases have already started. And that's something that's also a little bit leading to this kind of like unsureness in the space. I would like to encourage everybody in the retail space and all around to start marketing these roles as not just kind of like pass away rules for the holidays. The benefits can be really great for these positions, and list them out in your job posts. The other thing is start pointing to, this is a starting point for greatness to a lot of people who are coming into this space. Promote these jobs publicly as a kickoff and take notes on how it could be valuable for people who are coming in as just a seasonal hire. But that time can be spent learning how the business is run as a whole. It could also be spent learning how they could move up in your existing business or how they could start their own business and learn things from the experience with your company. So a last way to distinguish yourself from competitors as you're trying to recruit is to emphasize your company's cultures, values, and beliefs. These are things that grab people's attention. And if you're committed to these beliefs, they can even pull applicants to you from higher paying gigs because they value being in an environment that values those things. So get in there now, lay the groundwork, and come prepared. Saying that is easier than doing that, which is why a big thing is aligning with your leaders. Talking to your supervisors now to understand what your budget is for these roles, what your budget is for marketing and promotion, what your targets are, and also opportunities for storytelling. Storytelling is a great way to share, hey, we had somebody come in from this role and was just doing hourly work for the holidays, and then they enjoyed it so much they moved up to a manager position and then a director position and maybe even a regional supervisor or something along those lines. If you have supervisors you can speak with about employee success stories, bring those to the forefront. Giving those examples helps potential applicants see themselves in a place of success working for your company. And lastly, flexible schedule options are fantastic. Weekend warriors for people who are working during the week, having jobs or having positions that are just available for people to work on the weekends. Also, post 9-to-5 shifts. A lot of people are looking to have additional jobs on top of their 9-to-5 regular roles, especially during a time where the economy is a little unsure and people are looking for every way they can get a little extra money through the door. And while cures for the pandemic aren't likely to happen, I don't think anybody's going to be stopping COVID or the other issues that we're dealing with in the environment and world right away. Be upfront about your vaccine and mask regulations, and that may help you bring people to your roles that are appropriate for the spot. So next up, hospitality is a hugely important space. And it's also one of the sectors that has the most, it's one of the industries that has the most different sectors underneath it. So there's hotels, travel, and food and beverage are the ones that I'm going to focus on right now. Like I mentioned to you before, the American Housing and Lodging Association did a study with 500 participants. 97% of them said that they're already experiencing a staffing shortage. 50% of them saying it's severe, and the biggest issue is housekeeping, because everybody's first thought during a pandemic is, yeah, let's lean into like a less clean environment. With workers out, managers for Remington hotels are actually filling in on hourly tasks like stripping linens off of beds, and some restaurants are operating with fewer bartenders, and the companies bringing on contract labor to fill in staffing gaps and offering additional overtime to employees. Now, one thing that is important about learning about Remington hotels is that that's a massive group of hotels. They have a lot of money to invest in best practices that are going to be most effective for their needs. So, what smaller hotels or associate chains can do is take a look at what's happening in these places that are allowed to invest that money and then utilize that information to copy, paste, and edit those concepts where appropriate for your own needs. So, the other thing is to be really real and upfront with your audience. Let them know, hey, I get that things aren't perfect. It's not like a ton of people are super excited about cleaning up after messy vacationers. But a good thing that you can do is respect the fact that a lot of people really love cleaning. They like seeing the process of a room going from super, super dirty to super, super clean, and stuff like that actually trends really well on social media if that's ever something you're able to provide as well. The other thing is cultural awareness. So be aware of the different subsects that you're talking to in the population. If you're respectful of where they're coming from to this space, they're going to appreciate that and show it in return. And one way they do show it oftentimes is through employee advocacy. I'm going to get back to that point later, but I did want to make a note of that now. So pin that idea, and we're going to come back to it soon. So with the travel industry, we all know travel is nuts, but I have to say, there's a new article out from Politico that makes airline executives seem downright scary. So I am not endorsing this concept that they're saying, but I am just letting you know what they're saying. A new report from Politico says that airline executives have called for ways to juice pilot hiring. So the kind of normal ways they're doing it are job fairs and pay incentives. The other thing they're doing is potentially relaxing training requirements to fly a commercial plane. Yeah, so that's a thing. The FAA has also countered that there are more controllers in high demand areas. So controllers are a difficult thing to fill, and also roles within the airport. I don't know about you all, but last holiday, I went around to a few different airports during my travels, and I saw most of the places shut down. So letting people know what your process for getting them into the airport is, what security is like, and how they can make that efficient and smooth will really, really help. The unfortunate part is that we will consistently have to deal with issues like COVID and monkeypox. So even just today, the LA Times reported that county health officials have confirmed 400 cases of COVID that hit the TSA staff and workers at American and Southwest Airlines. So safety precautions may not be enough. You can also look at the bright side of things. So a flight attendant of mine and I spoke the other day, and she said that pushing flight benefits is a really big thing. Remember, you're recruiting to the travel obsessed if you're recruiting for pilots or training or flight attendants. So maybe offering something as simple as 2 round-trip tickets per attendant could be enough. And also offering performance-based incentives. And lastly, retention of existing staff is also key. So a lot of flight attendants don't get paid boarding time and sit time, which is how they spend quite a bit of their time going to and from flights and sitting, waiting for something to take off. So paying for those times could be really, really helpful. And lastly, it's get lonely. And I don't mean to get alone and get sad about it. I mean, flight school is expensive, which could lead people to being very sad. But if you offer loans to help candidates, it would encourage more applications and encourage a sense of security and appreciation for the efforts that you're taking to make their experience better and ultimately yours as well. With the restaurant industry, a lot of cooks were laid off during COVID. They found work in construction because construction was booming, and they don't want to come back. They don't like working out over a hot stove and prefer to be working outdoors. And this is according to Foreman's GM Bruce Stein for NBCLA. One thing that I think anybody knows who's recruiting for this space is that money talks. So show your methods for supporting practices like service charges to supply benefits unique to the industry, training investments and growth opportunities, and also reconsider policies when it comes to difficult customers. This was a suggestion by Bar and Restaurant, which is a former employer of mine. I used to work with their parent company, Questex. Amazing group of people. Customers don't always remember to be considerate of restaurant workers' experience. restaurant work is tough, and the physical and mental well-being of your staff is a wonderful thing to share with the public audience, because it emphasizes, hey, we get it that restaurant industries are not always like the cushiest jobs. They're tough, and we value your toughness in being here. And we're also going to support the fact that you need support for that, for your mental and physical health too. So this is a great way to also transition that large chains aren't always able to offer things that they would like to. Use this to your advantage and hire for volume and hire for retention. So next up, I spoke to a recruiter who asked to be mysterious on this. We don't want to call her out, but she said that she's worked in a number of different industries and she's incredibly successful. And she encouraged the number one thing that she would tell other recruiters is cast a wide net. Populations you may not have considered will love a chance to work with you. And teachers, for instance, are a group that's making career moves like crazy. So recruit from groups who switch from one career to another. It can be really beneficial. As you can see on this slide, the left half that's dim, that's about 30% of the slide. 30% of candidates are active candidates. So if you're focusing on that, you're missing out on 70% of other candidates, which is just unbelievable. You have so many opportunities to reach passive candidates who might not even realize that your job is a good fit for them until they see something in your social media feed. Now, the other thing is that employee advocacy is huge. So according to a study by Cisco, employee posts can generate 8 times more engagement than the same content shared through a brand handle. So for instance, if CareerArc is posting about a job, I share that job post on my LinkedIn and my Twitter account to get it more expansion. And that's really, really helpful to us and to our clients. So further, a bunch of companies, their employers and networks are, for many companies, their employees' networks are far greater than their brand handles, upwards of 10 times in some cases. And lastly, I realize that recruiters aren't always socially savvy. If social media is kind of a scary idea for you, I promise it's not that scary. And we have job post examples on CareerArc's blog that share with you all the different ways that you can do social jobs really efficiently and effectively, even without a ton of experience in space. So 80% of job seekers are using social media in their job search, according to a study that CareerArc did. Apollo Technical showed that 70% of hiring managers say they've successfully hired with social media. According to LinkedIn, 73% of millennials found their last position with support from social media. 43% of our clients at CareerArc are pursuing employee advocacy, and 58%, you're going to be 58% more likely to attract top talent with successful employee advocacy programs, according to LinkedIn. And who would know best than LinkedIn in a scenario like this? So where do you find the candidates though? Facebook is a great place. You'll find candidates there who are sharing with their family and their friends. I don't know about you, but I feel like everybody has that one relative. If they find something even remotely relevant to you, they'll send it to you in a DM. I have that. I hope you all do too. And it's really common for jobs, because how good does it feel to share a job with somebody and it works out? You've done something really, really positive in their lives. And so that's something that makes it really, really special. The other thing about Facebook is many people feel like, oh, where's Facebook really going? There's not a lot of young people on there anymore. And that isn't true. So it's a complex process, but there are a ton of young retirees from the pandemic who retired early, but they're looking for extra cash. You can find them here and you won't have to pay them the same benefits. People on Facebook are always also super active in Facebook groups. So it's a great place. If you post it to your own feed, then you can then repost it into a group of people looking for jobs. With Instagram, there are 123.1 million users in the US and 1.28 billion globally. So it's time to accept that Instagram is a recruiting platform that cannot be ignored. Plus, with 7 in 10 Americans aged 18 to 29 actively using Instagram, it's especially useful for attracting talent. We just released a blog post with tons more about this, so check it out at careerarc.com/blog. LinkedIn is a place for employee advocacy gold. So LinkedIn research shows on average, employees collectively have social networks 10 times larger than a corporate brand does. Employees have double the click-through rate of corporate shares, and companies with employee advocacy programs are 58% more likely to attract and 20% more likely to retain top talent. They can actually attribute specific hires to their advocacy programs, and in some cases, hundreds of them. With Twitter, a lot of people might think, maybe this isn't like the right place for recruiting, but 61% of job seekers take to Twitter frequently on their job hunt. And the careers and marketing sector made it into the top 100 global conversations on Twitter with over 52.5 million tweets and 12.5 million unique authors from July 2019 to July 2021. Lastly, TikTok. While a lot of people think this is just for the young generation, Gen Z, you would be surprised to find out that 37% of TikTok users, nearly 40% of the users there, are over the age of 30. So you can reach a ton more people than you may have realized. So now that you know where candidates are, it's time to show them where you are. So a great way to do that is to emphasize the ease of application with something like a job map, because people respond to visuals. If you see a job list versus a job map, the job map is going to be way easier to use. So here's a way where you can show jobs in a much more enticing way that's valuable to your audience. So in summary, the economy is in a downturn, which means more people will be looking for part-time work. Partner with your HR leaders to learn the key points to message candidates and what you can actually implement. Be thoughtful of your ideal candidate's perspective and the fact that candidates you may not expect will find great interest in your job. So cast a wide net and get social. It's the easiest way to do it. You can have fun with your social presence by being smart, thoughtful, and prepared with your messaging in advance to achieve a really high wave of applicants. So Ulta Beauty achieved a 70% year-over-year increase in job applications by leveraging CareerArc for seasonal hiring. In 2020, only 23% of CareerArc clients were pursuing employee advocacy and ambassadorship strategies. In 2021, that number has nearly doubled. So thank you all for your time today. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to share more things like this. So please visit careerarc.com, learn more about the world of social recruiting and how it can help you and your company achieve goals you never thought possible. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you next time for our next session. Bye.